with Dr. Bartholomew Orr, pastor, author, husband, family man, and thought leader as he encounters other believers who have impacted the world with their God-given gifts and talents. Let's meet the people who are moving the church forward with their faith, wisdom, direction, and innovation. It's spiritual, it's motivational, it's Church Forward.
Hello, family. This is Bartholomew Orr. Join me on this journey as we chronicle the stories and lifestyle of some of the world's most innovative people who will share how their faith, wisdom, and direction help them to truly change lives and make a difference in these unprecedented times. It is my prayer that these out-of-the-box conversations with extraordinary individuals will help all of us think differently about faith and doing the unthinkable even today. So today, my conversation is with my filmmaker, my favorite member, Brother James Bunch. James, welcome to the conversation. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pastor Orr. Thank you for having me.
All right. And James, you are a filmmaker. And tell me about, how did you get started with that?
Well, for several years now, I've been doing some contracting work with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and being a partner as it relates to outreach. And in outreach, they strive to find individuals and make them aware of their various programs and services. And so over the years, my team and I, we've been doing in outreach workshops.
Okay.
And we also established physical projects, training young people how to grow fruits and vegetables using climate smart practices. And so I decided, how can I reach a wider audience? And so I thought about film. Most people, and the people we're trying to reach, the young folks, utilize their smartphones to go and check out content. And so I thought, well, maybe we can reach them this way by filming. And so that's when I decided to form my own independent production company.
Okay, because I know you've been a member here at Brown for a few years now, and I can recall even way back in the day when we started doing some of the gardening projects, High Tunnel. Talk about some of those things.
Well, what we do is the projects I established back in 2022. We established some projects utilizing the contract from the federal government, and that's what my company do. We seek contracts with these partnerships. So we were able to establish 3 projects, one in Holly Springs, Mississippi, one in Waterloo, Iowa, and one in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And in those 3 projects, we were able to train 30 young people how to grow these vegetables utilizing the seasonal high tunnel system, the one we had set up here, similar to the one we did here at Brown. Now, the high tunnel system is used to maximize your production. And so that's some of the latest technology USDA encourages small-scale farmers to utilize.
I mean, people just don't realize farming is a big business. And one of the things that oftentimes happens in our community are these food deserts, just simply because they don't have fresh fruits and vegetables. So I appreciate you years ago bringing that idea that, hey, we need to get young people involved in growing, learning all of the techniques. We've actually had individuals to kind of go off to school, and I want to say I've had, at least I know one young person where agriculture was their main emphasis even in studying. So your work is making a difference.
I remember that. I think the young man went to Arkansas State University up in Jonesboro, if my memory serves me correct. But based upon what's happening as it relates to farmers, and not just black farmers or minority farmers in general, but the average age of the American farmer is 58.3. So there's an aging that's taking place.
Yeah.
Now, I've done workshops in multi-states in Mississippi, and I went to a workshop once last year. And the average age of the farmer that attended that workshop was 76 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so we asked them, what's going to happen with your property once, you decide to retire and quit farming? Well, their family members, I'm talking kids and grandkids, show no desire to get into agriculture. And that was heartbreaking, to hear that. And so it's important that we begin to bring in a younger crowd of young folks. And another key factor is getting trained or getting an education in agriculture. And what we recognize is throughout this process At our 1890 land-grant colleges and universities, there's an average, well, it goes up and down as it relates to young people seeking degrees in agriculture. So we want to bring attention to that as well, the average age of the farmer, and try to get more young Black and brown individuals interested in seeking degrees and business opportunities in agriculture.
All right. Now, I know you come from a family where faith was so prominent in your family. Mm-hmm. Tell me about just, your faith journey, just even as a writer, as a filmmaker. What is it that the role that faith has played in all of this?
Well, like you, I grew up on a small farm over in Woodruff County, Arkansas. And we walked to church.
Yeah.
I'm talking 3 miles, summer, winter time.
My.
And if you were lucky, you got a ride going or coming, you could hitchhike. But we went to church, and my parents, my mother and father, very strong believers. And so out of those 16 kids,
I was going to ask you how many. I knew it was a whole bunch of bunches.
Oh, bunches. 3 sisters and 13 brothers, if I got my math right. And so, based upon that, I learned early on how important belief is as it relates to whatever you want to achieve in life. You got to have that background. You got to have the faith. And so years ago, I wrote a book, and based upon that book, what I did was I took my faith and I mixed it with agriculture.
Okay.
My career.
Okay.
When I was in college, we did. I worked in the summertime at different locations up in Minnesota, then some different locations in Arkansas. But I tell the story about my faith and agriculture. I mixed those two together and how God, took me from point A to point Z, if you will.
Yeah.
Using my faith and agriculture throughout my career.
Now, Pickin' Greens Production, is that the name of your company?
Yes, sir. Pickin' Greens. That's 1 G in Pickin'.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Pickin' Greens Productions. And I wanted to tell stories with an agricultural theme, content. That's my focus.
Okay. So when it comes to the filmmaking and the storytelling, then you're using your faith to write these stories, but they are centered around agriculture to get young people motivated, involved in it, interested in agriculture.
That's correct. Now, the story I'm focused on now, my team and I developed a pilot episode entitled Hip Hop Farmers.
Okay, all right. Now, is there any rap music to that?
Well, let me tell you. Now, there's a theme song. I wrote the lyrics to the theme song, but I ain't do no singing. Hey, I don't sing. But anyhow, it is designed to inspire and motivate young Black and brown individuals to consider agriculture as a career or as a business opportunity. Now, where did I get this idea from? Again, I'm 67 years old. Yeah. Now, back when I was growing up, there was this show called Green Acres.
Okay.
Where you had a white ag executive from New York City move to a farm. And so what I wanted to do was sort of flip the script, if you will. So I went to USDA, my funder, if you will, and I said, hey, here's an idea. What do you guys think? And I look at it like Green Acres meet hip hop.
Yeah.
When a young New York City music mogul moved to Memphis to manage an urban farm. Now, why urban farming? USDA, over the past several years, has put a major focus on urban farm, trying to bring into production vacant lots.
Yeah, and that gets. Again, that helps to solve the issue of food deserts that we're seeing in our community. Just explain what a food desert is, because someone may not even understand.
Well, based upon the definition that USDA uses for food deserts, and you can Google this to make certain I'm getting it right. If there isn't a grocery store, and I'm talking a grocery store, not somewhere you can go grab a snack, but a grocery store, within a mile from where you live, you are actually in a food desert. Now, that distance may vary, but that's my understanding of what a food desert is.
Okay. So a grocery store that is selling some fresh fruit, fresh produce, because oftentimes, especially in the inner city, you won't have those kind of grocery stores in those areas.
That's correct.
And therefore, you create this food desert. Now, so your pilot then, the individual is coming in and they are, I guess he's taking over an urban farm in the community?
That's correct. And the storyline, now, I don't want to give away the storyline.
Okay.
However, I can talk about how these three characters meet, three main characters in the storyline. They meet at my alma mater, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Okay.
Two seek a degree in agriculture, one seek a degree in music.
All
So
right.
after graduation, they go in their different ways and start their life. And so they all come back together in the pilot episode as it relates to this urban farm.
Okay.
Now, what happens for a music mogul to end up at an urban farm? You have to watch the story to find out.
All right, we're gonna watch the story. We're gonna watch the story to find out.
Yes, sir.
But since you can't talk about the show, I do want you to talk about yourself because
Okay, great.
If you could only get 3 words to describe yourself and your work, what would they be?
Oh, man, I thought about that. I'm persistent.
Okay.
Okay, in seeking these grant contracts, you have to be innovative because they're looking
Okay.
for something different. And the last one is trailblazer.
Okay.
And so what I'm doing with this project as it relates to hip hop farmers is trailblazing. It's unique. And so in order to get ahead of my competition, I want to do something totally different, out of the box, if you will. And so I was able to convince USDA that this could be a successful project. We may reach the targeted audience, and that's what my prayer is.
Now, talk about trailblazer, persistent, innovation. Look, you've had to be all of those things all of your life. Talk about some of the ways with USDA that you've been a trailblazer.
Well, if I go back to when I initially started my business back in 2012, you got to be consistent because it's competitive. I mean, there are hundreds of individuals applying for these contracts every year. And so, you may not get the answer you want at first. So, you got to have that faith. So you try again and again and again and again. And so once you do get it, they're looking for stuff that's unique, if you will, as it relates to getting their information out about their programs and services. So you got to be innovative. And so actually they have a grant called Conservation Innovative Program, the SIG grant. And so so based upon that, I'm thinking whenever I apply for a grant or a contract, I'm thinking outside the box. I want to be different. I want to be non-traditional. And so with that non-traditional approach, I had some overwhelming success as it relates to agriculture. And then being trailblazing, as you mentioned, I want to be the first, as it relates to agricultural themed content. Content is important, because I hear you on Sunday mornings, hey, hit that button, do this, do that. I mean, you're getting your content out there, which is great. And so that's what I'm attempting to do with this initiative.
What have been some of your jobs? Because did you work for USDA?
Yes, sir. After I graduated in 1979, I started my career with the U.S. Department of Agriculture Soil Conservation Service. It's now known as the Natural Resources Conservation Service. But I've worked in multi-states. I started my career in Arkansas. I worked in Mississippi, where I got my master's degree at Alcorn State University on a project that they sent me to. And they said, well, hey, look, since you're down there working on this project, you're not just going to sit around twiddle your thumbs. We want you to go and get your master's. So they paid for that, for me to get my master's degree. And so then I ended up in Tennessee, as a technology specialist. Okay. But I've had several different disciplines. Agriculture, man, has really been great for me. I mean, I've did projects in Africa. I did projects in South Pacific.
Oh, wow.
Just thinking of things, being innovative, and taking these ideas to USDA, and they funded me to do those projects.
That is fantastic. So you've helped farmers even in other countries to be able to better techniques in terms of just farming? That's
correct. I went to Asmara, Eritrea. This is East Africa. Asmara, Eritrea, and Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. There's a technology we call the revised universal soil loss equation. If your soil washes away, you can't grow crops. And so what we did, I put a proposal together, and we went there and we did some workshops with their agricultural ministry. We trained those individuals on that technology.
Wow.
And I did the same thing in the South Pacific, in American Samoa, and Guam. We reached out to small-scale farmers and showed them. We actually did a study. We actually spent 2 years doing a study where they grew their crops based upon that technology. So it was really interesting. and exciting.
That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Look, those are some government dollars being invested in ways that will help us, especially meet the common man where they are in terms of just agriculture. And like you said, both of us are farm boys, so we know how important it is for people to be able to have these farming opportunities in the community. All right, well, wisdom. What wisdom would you share with aspiring filmmakers and storytellers, particularly those who's trying to break into the industry?
Well, keeping with my agricultural theme, because that's what I know. Based on, let me just tell you what I did. Okay, as it relates to the idea. Okay, in my concept, I kind of throw things against the wall, even when I do my proposals.
Okay,
I have a team of retirees that work with me. I'm not by myself. My daughter, Letitia, she works with me. But I throw ideas out there and sort of get their feedback. And so in this initiative, and I would tell young people, surround yourself with a group of like-minded individuals. Again, I work with retirees. And so when I would throw an idea out, they could say, well, that makes sense or that doesn't make sense.
Right.
But as it relates to the Hip Hop Farmers TV pilot, based on the projects I was doing, I'm thinking, well, how can I reach a larger audience? And so developing agricultural themed content. And that's unique.
Yes.
In a way, because, once we filmed this in Atlanta back in September.
Okay.
And so, we interacted, of course, with the actors and the production staff. And people were telling me, well, hey, James, there's a lot of shows involving hip hop, music and that kind of thing. But there's nothing combining the two together. And I thought, man, bingo, that's my target. That's what I want to do. I want to bring something different. And so I would say to young folks, think outside the box, look at non-traditional avenues in obtaining your goals as it relates to filming.
So what has been the most significant lesson you've learned as a creative entrepreneur?
Man, I tell you, I wish, I had started younger. And what I mean by that is this. I retired at 55. I wish I had retired at 50 and got into this business at that time. And I think I would be, far along as to where I as far as reaching my goals. But starting early, that would be my advice.
So you've successfully launched Picking Greens production. What's next on the horizon? Well,
taking the pilot episode that we've developed and developing it into a feature film, or doing a complete series, which means I need 9 more episodes to do a series. And we've already laid out, the synopsis, if you will, as relates to the other shows. So we're excited about that. We're just hoping and praying that people will buy the one that we've done as relates to they like the idea and they want to find out what happens next. Because we played the pilot episode to some folks, and the question I listen for is, what happens next? And that's what you want to hear, what happens next.
That's pretty good, man. So if you could give that one bit of advice, I know you've talked about you wish you would have had retired earlier, but if you could give another piece of advice to your younger self when you were first starting out, what would it be? If you had to go all the way back to even your college days.
Oh, back in the cotton fields?
Hey.
Yes, sir. That's where I was. Oh, man, I would say dream big. Have big dreams. And I've always been creative, as it relates to this idea or that idea. I would say dream big. Of course, keep the faith. Never give up. Based on my disability. I'm an American with a disability. Okay. That didn't stop me.
Talk about your disability.
Well, I'm visually impaired. Okay. And, I could have just stayed at home, enjoyed my retirement, drew my retirement salary. But I got to thinking, I have a lot of great ideas. And I like to tell people, I may be visually impaired, but my mind is 20/20.
Yeah.
And so God has allowed me to use this mind to inspire and motivate other folks.
Yeah, amen, amen. Well, you've been a great blessing here at Brown. So you know you're my favorite member here, and I'm glad that I can say I got a filmmaker who is a member of Brown as well. Well, innovation with technology and audience expectation constantly evolving. How do you stay innovative as a filmmaker and storyteller?
Focusing in on the new technologies, and I'm talking social media. Okay. And of course, you got your Instagram, your Snapchats, TikTok, and even the federal government. They pay more attention to this now, as relates to social media. I envision this as both a social media project. And that's why I was able to get the buy-in. From USDA. It's a social media project. Okay. In one aspect, but it's also a production that relates to networking. With all the different streaming services, we believe we will have success, even if we just utilize social media, that technology.
Okay.
Yes.
What's been some of the biggest challenges you faced as a creative in bringing your ideals to life?
Well, again, man, my disability. Now, that's been a challenge. I got to tell you the story about how this came about.
Okay.
I was listening to, I won't call it a local radio station, but I was listening to this network one day, and there was a gentleman on there from the Hill to Hood Foundation. I got to give him his props. Mr. Liddell Beeman, I believe was his name. And he mentioned about his relationship with film producer, director Robert Townsend. And so I perked up when I heard it. And he talked about how, if you need any help, give him a call. He could put you in touch with people who can do certain things. And I needed a writer, to help me with what I was doing. Now, I've written screenplays. Back in the 90s, I've written 3 screenplays. But now I needed help. And so they put out a phone number. I called that number. I spoke with a young lady, and I told her who I was and that I needed a writer. And so a week went by, 2 weeks went by. I didn't get an answer, so I called back. And she said, "Hey, Mr. Bunch, I haven't forgotten about you. We're still working on it. We're going to get you somebody."
Okay.
A couple of days later, a young lady by the name of Christy Taylor, I have to give her props, called me and said, "Hey, Mr. Bunch, tell me about your story." And so we did that. And so based upon that, that's how we brought this to fruition. We got the screenplay written. It's now on paper. She got it out of my head and put it on paper to network standards, which I'm very pleased with it. And so then now we need the funding. Where do you get the money from? Where do you get the money? And so based upon my relationship with USDA and those partnerships that I had built, I decided, let me go to them. And so, again, just throwing it up against the wall, I sent an email to a USDA employee, Miss Vivian Dixon, and I told her what I wanted to do. And she thought right away, hey, it's a great idea. Let me go and talk to some folks. And we got the chief of the agency involved. It was some funding available under his office. And so Chief Terry Cosby. And so those two individuals, believed in my project, and that's where we are today.
So if you can envision a future of a faith-based media in the next 10 years, what would that look like, and what role do you hope to play in it? Well,
as it relates not only into agriculture, of course, I talk a lot about agriculture. That's what I love, and that's what I grew up, and that's been my business. But as it relates to developing content, as it relates to your faith, say, for an example, I want to involve more independent Black film producers as it relates to agriculture. However, we can also use that or mix it in with our faith as it relates to agriculture and faith. Now, Adam, what was his job, his first job? He tended the garden. Well, that's agriculture.
Yeah.
And so from the beginning, there's always been faith and agriculture mixed together.
I like that. And look, there's even in heaven, there's a tree that's going to be bearing fruit, Revelation say, for the healing of the nation. Well, I appreciate the fact that you have brought such a unique idea to filmmaking, especially as it relates to just blending faith with agriculture and getting the message out there so that we can raise up more young people. You know, here at Brown, we talk about message and maturity. We talk about mission, ministry, but that fifth M is all about mentoring. So how do we raise up this generation that is upcoming? And you're doing such an excellent job for this next gen. So I applaud you, and looking forward to when can they expect this pilot to be released?
Well, I'm planning. I've been talking to my folks at my alma mater. I'd like to screen it there.
Okay.
Bring it home first.
All right.
But I would love to do a screening here at Brown. To show the young people here how they can use agriculture, especially the business savvy people.
That's all right.
Look, I look at it from the standpoint there are a lot of vacant lots here in Shelby County, approximately 4,000. Now, I've been doing my research. And so in some of those vacant lots, man, you can get, for little or no money. And I believe if you're a nonprofit, you can get them for free.
Okay.
And so I would like to show young people, those who, it takes hard work, but there is monies available. You can start your own farming operation, small scale. There's a thing called the $50,000 microloan. Okay, with that $50,000, you can go and buy the equipment that you need, hire someone to help work your farm.
Okay.
And so I want to try to target these young people and send them in that direction.
I like that.
Small-scale farming.
I like that, James. Well, look, thanks for joining me for the conversation today. Let me know what you think and connect with me on my website and social media. Be sure to subscribe to my e-newsletter so that you don't miss out on more ways to live your life outside the box. Stay tuned for more conversation that will inspire you to do the unthinkable. And until next time, keep pushing forward and making a difference. God bless you.
Thank you for being a part of the Church Forward Conversation with Dr. Bartholomew Orr. Be sure to join us for the next episode.